Thank you so much. The first thing Americans always have to talk about when they come here is what a long trip it is. Such a long trip. That's why we have to talk about it. Really, my visa expired on the way over. You know one thing you should never do on a long trip? Start up a game of peekaboo with the child sitting in front of you. There's no ending to this game. He turned around, I finally just grabbed him by the bib. I said, look, it's always gonna be me. Halfway here, I got smart and switched the game to hide and seek. So he spent the rest of the trip in the overhead rack. Last time I was here, I went to the Gold Coast, which was beautiful, except I asked what kind of audiences are there, and they said mixed, and I didn't know they meant a combination, live people and dead people. The people were a little old, but the beaches were gorgeous. Except I had a problem because, well, everyone goes topless. It's just not a big deal here. Do you go topless? Yeah? No, you don't either? Well, most people, they don't think anything of it, and I had never done it, and I was afraid. Things crossed my mind, like, I don't know, they've never been in the sun, they might catch fire. I tried it once. I was very, very careful, though. What I did was I wore lots of sunscreen. In fact, what I did was I taped the bottles to my body. And everyone said, Rita, you really have to go nude sunbathing because then you don't get tan lines. Well, I have a question. What good is a tan without tan lines? Really, how do you show it off to your friends? What do you say? Look, compared to my eyeball, look how tan I am. And too much sun is supposed to be bad for you. It's supposed to make your skin leathery and wrinkly and old. I used to look at those gorgeous 16-year-old girls just baking themselves on the beach and think, fry, you homewreckers, fry. I bought wrinkle cream, but I got lazy. I started using it on my clothing. Because I'm not a good housekeeper, and I'm not ashamed of it. I don't think it's anything to be ashamed of. That's how Madame Curie discovered penicillin. People ask me, are those dirty dishes? I say, no, those are research. I hate doing laundry. I hate prolonging it, so I don't separate my colors from my whites. I put them together. I let them learn from their cultural differences. I don't understand what goes on in dry cleaning, though. I know they add a safety pin. After that, it's anybody's guess. I mean, let's take it apart. You have a dress, it has a spot, you take it in, it costs you $5. It costs the same amount if the dress is covered with lava. They don't go by the amount of dirt. Before you bring something in, you should do some heavy dusting with it. Also, I don't understand the sign in the window that says same-day service. I bring things in Monday, they say, we'll have it for you Wednesday. I think that's a different day. One thing that makes Australia difficult is there are beautiful blondes every place. I know there are blondes here, there's one there, there's one there. I suffer from paroxysphenophobia. Really, every time I've ever gotten near a beautiful blonde in my life, something of mine has disappeared. Jobs, boyfriends. Once an Angora sweater just leaped right off my body. What's your name? Carol. That's nice. It's nice being blonde, isn't it, Carol? And natural. Oh, she's rubbing it in. I know some people want curly hair. I don't know why, but they come up and ask me if my hair's natural, and I say yes. They said, oh, you mean you just wash it and it does that? And I say, no, I don't even have to wash it. This is just... But blondes are more popular. They must be. How many brunettes do you see walking down the street with blonde roots? And I think blondes are only more popular because there are less of them. It's supply and demand. Somewhere in the world there are millions of blondes and they're all hiding just to keep up their market value. And my very best friend in the world is a blonde, Carol. We met when we were kids and before I knew any better. She's so beautiful too, except for these bruises that she has every place from where men keep hurling jewelry at her. Not only is my best friend a beautiful blonde girl, this is so horrible, she's a beautiful blonde girl who can't gain weight. I hate my best friend. I do. We'll be sitting there at lunch and she'll say things like, I can't finish this chocolate milkshake. What should I do? It's so hard for me not to say, you could pour it over your head. Then at least your hair will be brown. No. I'm catching a cold, which I hate, because doctors still don't know what to do about cold. So now when I get a cold, I sit in a draft till it develops into something that they have a cure for. The most amazing drug to me is aspirin, because you can take it for anything. How does it know where to go? I guess that's why you have to take two. I'm a little afraid of doctors, especially plastic surgeons. I was going to get my nose fixed. I was, because I don't like it, but I was sitting in this guy's office, and on his walls there were all these pictures by Picasso. I started thinking my nose may not be perfect, but it's centered. I could wake up, it could be in a guitar. And I just changed doctors. This is the real reason. I just changed my regular doctor because he just had the oldest magazines in his waiting room. And I would sit there and read them and become disoriented. It was embarrassing. I'd start up conversations with my friends like, so do you think the Shah will find a place to live? You know, once you don't reorder a magazine, they'll never stop bothering you for the rest of your life. Really, they always think that they're going to catch you at a moment when you're going to want them back. I finally just wrote a letter to Newsweek and I said, look, it's over. If I'd known you were going to be this immature, I wouldn't have gotten involved with you. I sent them a picture of Time. I said, this is who I'm seeing now. That's all I get in the mail. I get pleats for magazines and tons of junk mail. They're desperate. They'll write anything on junk mail to make you open it now. Urgent, top secret. I got one that said, we have your parents. I didn't open that one. No, actually, my parents and I, we get along really well, and they're getting ready for their annual vacation. They go places on the off-season, though, because it's cheaper. Like last year, they went to Chile during a coup. I don't know how they go these places. It was just awful. In the brochure, the hotel was on fire, you know? I'm from Miami, which doesn't mean too much to you, does it? No, well, you have Miami Vice. So you think Miami is a bunch of Spanish people running around shooting each other over drugs. That's what it's like. Everyone is Spanish there now. My first grade teacher was an illegal alien. She taught the whole year from crouched behind her desk. Actually, a lot of kids from different countries went to my school. In fact, the president of my school was overthrown by a kid from South America. I hated school. I would have studied harder, though, if I'd known that when I grew up, I would have to play Trivial Pursuit. Isn't that a great game? There's nothing that I find more enjoyable than sitting around with a group of my best friends and being humiliated. I liked Scrabble. All my friends knew about me was that I couldn't spell. Now they know I don't know anything. I'm a terrible speller, I have to tell you. I always dot my E's just in case, you know? I do like to read, but I have a problem. I only like to read in bookstores. Sometimes they get angry. Once they threw me out. Me, my armchair, my lamp, my cocoa. My dad's a smart guy. He's the too smart kind, though, like absent-minded smart. He used to do things like when I was a little kid, he'd throw me up in the air and answer the phone. He used to let me ride on his shoulders. He'd walk through doorways. In fact, my dad is a doctor. With the worst handwriting, they all have such bad handwriting. It's amazing. He wrote me a note once excusing me from gym class. I gave it to my teacher, and she gave me all of her money. He just took up a sport, my dad. He's not real athletic. He took up bird watching. How much exercise could that be? I mean, he bought binoculars and a bird. There's really only one way to describe my mother. There's a very old saying, I don't know if you've heard it. Neurotics build castles in the air and psychotics live in them. My mother cleans them. She just went back to work, my mom, and she's having the time of her life because she opened up a clothing store and the dresses come in and she just marks them down and buys them. She's a terrible cook. My mom always was. It was awful when I was growing up. Even I knew you didn't put fabric softener in meatloaf. She once made this rice. You can't undercook it. You can't overcook it. She lost it. She once made carrot cake. She didn't grate the carrots. She baked them whole into the cake. She even left those green things hanging out the sides. She said they're handles. Most turkeys taste better the day after. My mother's tasted better the day before. For years, whenever I went into a restaurant and saw a sign that said home-style cooking, I left. It was very sad. Really, in school, when we traded lunches, I had to throw in an article of clothing. And I had a hard enough time when I was a kid because I was so shy. Really, I was a boring kid, basically, is what happened. I was. All I had were 2 friends, and they were imaginary. And they would only play with each other. I was desperate for friends. I was the only one in my class who would seesaw with the fat kid. Well, we really didn't seesaw, though. We kind of just seed. I'd get on, and then she'd get on, and then the fire department would get me out of the tree. I always thought I was adopted when I was growing up, too, because I don't look anything like anyone in my family. I look a little like my grandmother now because I have brown hair and blue eyes, and she has blue hair and brown eyes. It's my mother's mother. She's a very tough cookie. Really, she buried 3 husbands. 2 of them were just napping. See, Carol, I bet you were popular when you were growing up, weren't you? In high school. Oh, she said, oh, yes. So modest. So modest. I wasn't. It wasn't that no one asked me to the prom. It was that no one would tell me where it was. The graffiti in the boys' bathroom read, "For a good time, call Rita and hang up." Sexually, I was very ignorant, really. Other kids were covering up their hickeys. Well, you call them love bites. Love bites. I was painting mine on. Everyone said, "What does Rita have on her forehead?" Well, it was hard for me to be social because I'm an only child, so I was very, very overprotected. My tricycle had 7 wheels and a driver. My parents, they wouldn't even push me on the swing. They wouldn't. They'd just sit me on the swing and run back and forth and say, it looks similar to this. They couldn't tell me when a pet had died. I remember once I woke up and my goldfish was gone, and I said, Mom, where's Fluffy? She said, he ran away. I had a dog, though. I love dogs. I really do. I hate cats, though. I think they're a waste of fur. And, oh, I offended the cat people, and I'm sorry. Well, it's just that you never know what a cat is thinking. It's usually thinking, if I could just jump on her head and ruin her life. Always know what a dog is thinking. Dog's always thinking, God, I'm hungry. It's been almost 7 minutes. Which is, of course, 3 weeks in dog minutes. You know? I had a collie when I was growing up. She was so pretty, except she had a tremendous inferiority complex because of Lassie. Well, so much was expected of collies who were growing up in the 60s. It's true, it wasn't enough that they knew how to sit and roll over. They had to know how to use the phone and do open heart surgery. And the smartest dogs are poodles. Did you know that? It's true, and they're getting smarter. Soon they're going to be able to talk. And they're going to say, stop cutting my hair like that. Now, if I were to get a dog again, I would get a seeing eye dog or a guard dog or a hunting dog because I just don't have enough time to spend at home with mine. I just feel better if I had a dog that was involved in a career. Now, I'm trying to get more assertive in my career. Hate being assertive. It makes me tired. It's true, every time I stand up for myself, I have to go lie down. I'm trying to become more mature. I still have stuffed animals, and I can't get rid of them. I love them. I know one day the police are just going to break down my door and say, you're over 30, give us the bears. And I just bought a house by myself. That's a mature thing. All by myself, I bought a house. You know what it had to say on the deed? Rita Rudner, a single woman. I said, can't you at least put, I have lots of friends? It's a small house, it is. It has charm. I wish it had a window. It's a 2-bedroom house, and the guest bedroom is very small, but it's still big enough so people can be comfortable if they come to stay, so I'm making it smaller. I got a decorator to help me. I got her very cheap because, well, she'd never done she'd only done fish tanks. And my living room is nice. I have little colored rocks on the floor. Deep sea diver in one corner. Algae on the windows. But you know, you have to try to save money because when you buy a house, the first thing that happens is bills every place. It's just amazing. My last credit card bill was so big, before I opened it, I actually heard a drum roll. Someday I want to not have to worry. Someday I want to be rich. Some people get so rich so they lose all respect for humanity. That's how rich I want to be. When I was first on my own, I didn't know anything about money. I used to sign my checks, love Rita. I'm not the best at balancing my checkbook. I have to say that. I did it once. It was so exciting. It really was. The number on my statement was exactly the number in my checkbook. I guess I got a little overexcited. I called up the bank. I said, I have a match here. Did I win something? One thing I can never do, I still can't ask for money back after I've loaned it to a friend, and they forget to return it. Isn't that hard? I can never do it. The most I could do is when I'm over their homes, break something of that approximate value. One of the great things about Australia is that tipping is still under control here. Isn't it? I mean, here when you tip someone, they say thank you. In New York, if you don't tip people, they kill you. And I never know how much to tip people. I just give them money, and if they look too happy, I take some back. New York is really crazy. In fact, what's your name in the front? Pam. Have you been to New York, Pam? No, you can never leave your purse on the table like that. You always have to clutch it and guard it with your life. It's true, because while I was sitting there eating dinner and I had my purse underneath my feet, and I got up and it was gone. And I'd been eating at home. I still have an apartment in New York, and I miss it a little. It's small, though. It's an L-shaped studio apartment. Unfortunately, it's not a capital L. Taxi drivers are crazy, so be careful if you go, because I was in 2 taxi accidents last year. One, I was standing on the sidewalk. One, I was in a lift. Really, they don't even build taxis like regular cars anymore. They have 2 pedals in them. They have an accelerator and a foot horn. And I got into a huge fight with the taxi driver because, well, see what you think. The meter read $6.50. I gave the guy $10. I said, keep $7.50. That sounds right, doesn't it, Pam? You know what he said? How about $8? I'm trying to be assertive. I said, how about a punch in the nose? So he punched me. Another thing that happens in New York is beggars every place, and they all have the same question. Do you have any spare change? Have any spare change? I really don't even understand that question. Do you have any spare change? How can you tell you haven't finished living your life yet? You could give them some change and then you could need it. It's true. When people ask me if I have any spare change, I just tell them the truth. I have no way of knowing. I was in San Francisco. There was a guy, he was actually playing the bagpipes and then begging. These are 2 things that don't go together. First you make people want to hit you, and then you ask them for money. People were taking the money out of his hat and throwing it at him. One thing that's the same anywhere in the world I've found is the banks, though. They all have the little ropes. You know, you have to walk through the maze. I always feel like when I get to the end, I'm going to find a piece of cheese. And my bank is so slow because they only have 2 tellers, unless it's incredibly busy, and then they have 1. And 10 to 4 on weekdays. How did banks ever decide on these hours to stay open? Did they send out questionnaires asking people, when can't you make it? Up until cash machines, most bank robberies were committed by people with day jobs who wanted their money. I have a safety deposit box. It's neat, really. I always feel like I'm going to visit my jewelry in jail. Of course, I don't have any good jewelry, so I keep something else in there that means a lot to me. I made this omelet once that flipped over perfectly. It's very difficult to do. And I didn't have one of those cheater pans that folds in half either. I folded that pan in half myself. Because cooking isn't my favorite thing. I can make a few things, like I can make popcorn. I can. It's very good popcorn, because I don't like to go to the movies and pay $3 a bucket for popcorn. Popcorn costs 13 cents a silo. And those are huge containers, especially the drinks. I was in the movies yesterday. I had a large soda, and it had a Tide. think the last meal I cooked was in home economics in high school. I made a tuna casserole. I entered it in the science fair. I won. I combined tuna fish, cream of mushroom soup, and potato chips. I got electricity. Second prize went to a Japanese kid who made a robot who ate it. It died. You know, I figured out why Japanese people are all so smart. Because they have to be to learn their language. They have to be brilliant to learn how to write it. Have you seen that writing? Yes, you know, it must be very difficult, I was thinking, to be a skywriter in Japan. I love Oriental food. It's my favorite, really. I have my own chopsticks that I bring with me to the restaurants. They have my initials on the top and Velcro on the bottom. I go on different food binges, like I was a vegetarian for a while, but I quit that because it does have side effects. I found myself sitting in my apartment starting to lean towards the sunlight. I don't think being a vegetarian is healthy. I'm sorry. I think if you're one for any length of time, you have to stay one because you become too weak to cut meat. My boyfriend's not into health foods at all, really. He considers health food anything he finishes before its expiration date. He'll cook a little, my boyfriend. Well, he doesn't really cook. He'll barbecue. Men will cook as long as there's danger involved. He loves danger. He does. He won't take out the garbage unless it's ticking. We don't go to fancy restaurants anymore, though, because it's just upsetting when food costs that much. I was in one restaurant, they didn't even have prices on the menus, just pictures of faces with different expressions of horror. I know how to cook fish, too. That's another thing. Because fish is a good diet food, because you cook it and it smells up your apartment and you lose your appetite. Because I'm always on a diet. It's very upsetting. I've been trying to lose 2 pounds for 10 years. I can't do it. I even went to Weight Watchers once. I didn't know, but you have to get up in front of the group and state your goal. Women were getting up and saying, I want to lose 500 pounds. I got up, I said, I want to lose 2 pounds. I escaped with minor injuries. I have little tricks, dieting tricks, like if I order dessert, I'll only eat half of it. But sometimes if it's a good dessert, I'll order 2. My favorite diet is shoulder pads. You just wear big shoulder pads, that's it. Sometimes I forget, though, and I get shoulder pad buildup. Because I put on a shirt that has shoulder pads. And I add a sweater that has shoulder pads. I top that off with a jacket that has shoulder pads. Walk down the street in America, people try to tackle me. I weigh myself every morning, though, very, very carefully, too. You might want to try this. What I do is I slowly lower myself down onto the scale while hanging from the shower curtain rod. When I reach the weight I want to be, I black out. I resent it, really. Why can't we be fat? Fat used to be beautiful. Most great artists began their careers painting overweight women and fruit. They must have started out painting big meals, but the overweight women kept eating them. And now we have to exercise. I do aerobics. I hate aerobics. Where did that word come from? I guess instructors got together and said, you know, if we're going to charge $10 a class, we can't call it jumping up and down. I lift weights. I got lucky. I was at the gym lifting weights the other day, and the guy next to me was real polite. He kept going, here, let me get that for you. What's your name in the front? Rob? What exercise do you do, Rob? None. Have you tried bird watching? You take that. Really, you don't do anything? My old boyfriend was like a jog-a-maniac. He was a jogaholic, really, every year with the New York Marathon. I don't understand marathon runners, really. What would make 17,000 people want to run 26 miles? All I could figure out was maybe there's a Hare Krishna on back of them going, "Excuse me, can I talk to you just a second?" And now that's not bad enough. Now they have the triathlon, where people try to kill themselves. Don't they? They bike and they swim and then they run. Why? Why would anyone do this? I want to know. Either these people don't have jobs, or they have jobs that are incredibly difficult to get to. Another sport I don't understand is mountain climbing. I just don't think mountain climbers think things through. I just don't. These men, they climbed Mount Everest. You know why? Because it was there. That's not a reason to climb a mountain. It's a reason to go around it. There's a woman who swam around Manhattan 3 times, and someone asked her why she did it, and you know what she said? Because no one had ever done it before. She didn't have to do that. Really, if she wanted to do something no one had ever done before, all she really had to do was vacuum behind my couch. Actually, I think it's good that if you don't exercise, I don't date men who are very physically fit anymore. I find men who are very physically fit are very tired. They come home and they go to sleep and you get to look at them. And you think, gee, he looks good. If he could only move. Another sport you have to learn when you're very young is gymnastics, because that really looks like fun. It really does. But if someone were to try to teach me now to do a backwards flip on a board 1.5 inches wide, I'd say, look, why don't I just stand here and you could beat me with a stick? Tennis is my favorite game. I love it. I'm not good enough to wear a headband or anything, but I play tennis with some people I met in group therapy. Yes, we play mixed-up doubles. It's a short game. All 4 of us get on one side of the net. We serve, and then we go home. Golf is my least favorite sport. I hate it. If you like golf, hold your ears. Got him held? Okay, there he is. You're the only one. No, I just don't even think it's a sport. I think it's an excuse for older people to wear loud clothing. It's such a boring game. They have to wear those clothes. They're trying to keep each other awake. It's just not, not that physically demanding, golf. It's just not. My grandfather played until he was 96. He died when he was 77. You are supposed to consult your doctor before you do any exercise, though. You're always supposed to do that. Does anyone do that? No. I kind of think my doctor has people coming in with serious problems. I just don't feel that I should call him and say, hi. This is Rita. I'm thinking of bending at the waist. You're supposed to call your doctor before you go on any diet. I'd be calling mine 10, 12 times a day. Hello, this is Rita. I ate a potato. I'm sorry. I diet and I exercise. I still don't look anything like those women in Playboy, though. I don't. I think they get them from other planets. I hope so. I don't want them here. Well, this one girl I saw, she was just amazing, and I don't think she had silicone either. I think she had helium. She was so big I couldn't keep the magazine closed. And my old boyfriend would look at those pictures and I'd say, do you think she's pretty? And he'd always say, No. Hooked him up to a lie detector once. He shorted out Chicago. He used to say I read Playboy for the articles. I used to say, yes, I know, I go to department stores for the escalators. I do like to shop, I admit it. I rationalize shop, which I think a lot of women do. I buy a dress because I need change for gum. One time I loved to shop as after a bad relationship. I don't know why, but I'd go and I'd buy a new outfit and it makes me feel better. In fact, sometimes if I see a really great outfit, I'll break up with someone on purpose. Once I saw a great outfit and I wasn't dating anyone. So I went up and hugged a stranger and slapped him and bought it. I have problems returning things. That's because I'm always afraid that the people are going to yell at me. So now if I return something, I wear a disguise. Who's going to yell at the Pope? No, I like malls. Malls are my favorite. Nothing bad can happen to me in a mall. What could happen? The worst that can happen is I'll shop myself to death. I was in Chadston Mall. It's a great big mall. Millions of people walking around thinking, where did I park my car? Well, they make these malls so big. They've got trees in the mall, and birds live in the mall. Must be a strange life for a bird living in a mall. Don't you think, when going south for the winter means flying over to Kmart? I've been trying to get myself to buy a CD player, but I can't until I'm absolutely sure that's the last thing they're going to invent. Because I feel that if I buy one and they invent something else, that I could snap. I could become one of those people who wanders the streets mumbling to themselves. In fact, that's what I think those people are. Those are the people who bought 8-track tapes. And the minute you buy something technological, the next day they make it better. So really, I'm waiting till they set a date for the end of the world. And then I'm going shopping. Well, if they do set a date for the end of the world, they better give us a few days' notice because, boy, that's going to be some sale. Everything must go. It's very, very difficult to buy things for other people. I've given up on my dad. Last year, I just gave him $100. I said, buy yourself something that will make your life easier. So he went out and bought a present for my mother. And I thought I bought a great present for my grandmother. Last year, I bought her a VCR. That's a good present, isn't it? Yeah, she can't figure out how to use it. She uses it a little now, though she does. She puts bread in the slot and makes toast. Now, every year my parents say the same thing to me. What do you want for your birthday? And every year I say the same thing. Money. And they always say, we don't want to give you money. It's tacky. I always say, it's only tacky if you just give me a little money. And giving presents to little kids is the worst because they don't know how to lie and say they like it. It's a horrible feeling. I gave my girlfriend's little girl a dress for her birthday last year. She held it up. She said, ooh, anyone want this? All the other little girls said, no, it's ugly. Because I'm constantly going to little kids' birthday parties. My friends make such big deals over these parties. One of my friends had a great big surprise party for her child. He's 1. We all snuck in around the crib. We jumped up, we yelled, surprise! He was surprised. He's in therapy. Now, I had the worst birthday party ever when I was a child because my parents, they hired a pony to give rides. And these ponies are never in good health. But this one dropped dead. just wasn't much fun after that. One kid would sit on him and the rest of us would drag him around in a circle. I like little kids, but I don't know if I want to have them, and I have to decide. It's getting scary. My time is running out. I know I want to have children while my parents are still young enough to take care of them. And I'm getting a lot of pressure, too. Like my grandmother keeps asking me, when am I going to be a great-grandmother? I keep saying, I don't know. I guess as soon as you do something extraordinary. Does anyone down here have children who I can talk to? No one? Oh, you do. Yes. How many? Is your wife here with you tonight? So your wife presumably has children too. How many children do you have? You have 3. That's why your wife can't talk. Did you have natural childbirth? You did all 3? You're so brave. And you're blonde. You're a brave blonde. My least favorite type. No, that's very admirable of you. I don't think, my friends tell me what they go through. I don't think I could do it. One of my friends told me she was in labor for 36 hours. I didn't even want to do anything that feels good for 36 hours. Another friend of mine is having big problems because she's pregnant and her husband wants to have natural childbirth and she doesn't. So he has been going to those classes by himself. I just think of all the possibilities that might happen. Like, well, I was asking my friend who has children, what if I have a baby and I love it and I devote my life to it and it grows up and it hates me? And it blames everything that's wrong with its life on me. And my friend said, Rita, what do you mean, what if? I don't think my boyfriend's ready either. I asked him if he'd be in the room with me when I had a baby, and he said it'd have to be a big room. And there would have to be a bar at one end. They can tell so much about a baby while it's still inside of you. Isn't that amazing? I told you my friend is pregnant and she had these tests run and it seems the baby is normal and it's a boy. And it's a lawyer. They're trying to put warning labels on liquor now too that say, caution, alcohol can be dangerous to pregnant women. I think that's ironic. If it wasn't for alcohol, most women wouldn't even be that way. I did read that men reach their sexual peak at 18, and women reach their sexual peak at 35. I know, do you get the feeling God is into practical jokes? We're reaching our sexual peak right around the same time they're discovering they have a favorite chair. There's one woman clapping over here. No, actually, it's time to talk about men because, because I think I'm engaged, and that's important. Yes, thank you. Well, I think my boyfriend gave me this ring on the condition that I wouldn't call it an engagement ring. I said, I'll call it a can opener, just give me the ring. I love my ring, I do. It's an antique. It makes it that much more special to me knowing that someone didn't want it anymore. I like jewelry except necklaces. I stay away from expensive necklaces. Maybe I'm paranoid. I just don't want anything around my neck that's worth more than my head. Also, I don't think you should ever pierce your nose. No, I'm sorry. If you want to, you can. But I don't think you should. And I'll tell you why. Good, I'm glad you asked. Because once you pierce your nose, no one will ever listen to anything you have to say again. What could you possibly know? You pierced your nose. People will just look at you and smile. And think, Jesus, that must have hurt. Actually, my boyfriend lives here. That's why I come back to Australia. He's English, and he lives in Australia. Kind of a crocodile Nigel. He is the least handy person in the world. That's who I'm marrying. It's just amazing. I bought a TV table that you had to assemble, 4 pieces of wood and some screws. I came back, it was as if there had been monkeys in the room. There was glue on the ceiling. One window was smashed. He was lying there with a broken leg. I said, I guess it must have put up quite a fight. So we've been discussing the M word. That's basically what it is. We've never said the whole thing. I hope we're discussing the same M word. I'd hate to be standing there in a wedding gown and he murders me. Well, the whole thing is so scary, marriage. I don't like for better or for worse. I like for better or forget it. And he did propose, but it wasn't real romantic because he had a few drinks. So he didn't get down on his knees. He got up on his knees. It's hard to say yes when they've got their shoes on their hands and they're pretending they're a seal. Do we have anyone who's been married for a long time in the audience in the front? I can talk. Oh, how long? 28 years, that's pretty good. My parents have been married yesterday. It seems like yesterday. You're a man who wants to stay married, don't you? No, that's really wonderful, because I like to hear that, because that doesn't happen too much nowadays. In fact, for a long time, when I'd meet a guy, the first question I would ask myself was, I don't know, is this the man I want my children to spend their weekends with? There's never been a divorce in my family, though. Or a death of natural causes, so. No, my parents are very happily married, and I've lost count of how many years they've been together. I don't know. They passed their gold and silver anniversaries. Their next one coming up is rust. And my mom's always trying to figure out new ways to keep excitement in their marriage. And it's not easy after all these years. She took up belly dancing once. I know she wasn't real good at it. In order to make it appear like she was moving, my dad and I had to jiggle the furniture in back of her. I love my boy. He is great, I have to say. We get along well because, we have the same religious beliefs, which I feel is important. We both worship cleaning women. But I never thought this would happen. He's younger than I am. In fact, he's 2 years younger than he thinks I am. We don't fight. Well, we fight at one point. We fight about when to put gas. Well, you say petrol. When to put petrol in the car. That's it. I think you should put petrol in the car when it gets near empty. That's just me. Maybe I'm out of line. He has 2 beliefs in life. Really, he believes in God, and he believes that when the petrol gauge is on empty, he still has a quarter of a tank. He thinks the E stands for, there's still some left. And I also always have to let him drive when we're in the car, because when I drive, he has this terrible tendency to bite the dashboard. I go too slowly, and it drives him crazy. I do drive slowly. Once I got behind someone who actually drove more slowly than I did. We began to reverse. I have 2 jobs in the car. I get to read the map, and I get to get out and ask for directions after we get lost. Because he panics. He panics when we get lost. I never panic. I just change where it is that I want to go. We were driving through Europe, and you can get real lost in Europe. It's not like you go down the wrong street, you go in the wrong country. It's true, we went to Austria by accident. I thought they were toll booths, and it was the German-Austrian border. And the guards stopped us, too. Well, that'll happen when you throw money at them. Relationships are just so tricky. What's your name? Barry, what do you think the secret to a good relationship is? You've been married for 28 years. Barry laughs a lot. That's Barry's secret. Sense of humor, that's what people keep saying. I have a few things. I think honesty is important. I think it should be avoided. And I think another important thing is you have to let the other person be themselves. And another important thing is you have to pretend they're someone else. In fact, that's one thing my mother told me that I think is very good advice. She said, just don't try to change him. Whatever he is, just deal with it. Like my dad sleepwalks. She never tried to change it. She just hands him the vacuum cleaner. I don't even like the whole word relationship. The relation is okay, but ship. It could sink. I think we need a stronger word. Relation tractor. Well, the problem is your heart says one thing, your head says another, and you follow your heart. Your heart is there to pump blood. You don't ask your spleen to solve math problems. Another important thing is you have to learn, but I've never been involved with the same type of man twice. So everything I've learned, I've never had to know again. I could make it work if I could just meet another bisexual Indian piano tuner. No, because my last boyfriend, he wasn't nice, I have to say. I met him when I was at an emotionally very vulnerable time of my life. I was awake. And he was that he didn't want to get involved type, you know? I dated him for 2 years, and finally I just gave him an ultimatum. I said, listen, either you tell me your name or it's over. We were playing tennis. He couldn't even say 30 love. He kept saying 30, I really like you, but I still have to see other people. So many men are like that. In fact, you know how I ended relationships for a long time? I didn't say this isn't working out or I don't want to see you anymore. If I never wanted to see a man again, I just said, you know, I love you. I want to marry you. I want to have your children. Sometimes they'd leave skid marks. The worst thing about breaking up with someone's always when they want to stay your friend. Isn't it? Why do they want to do that? Why can't they get lost? This one guy used to call me up all the time. I'd say, look, I don't have anything to tell you. He'd say, just tell me the same things you tell your friends. So I told him how horrible he was. Well, anyway, you've been a very nice audience. I have to go and buy the rest of this watch. It's like someone got to hear and then lost interest. I don't know. Now, this is my new watch. I love my watch. It's water resistant. It's not waterproof. Guess that means it says no to water twice and then says, oh, well, what the heck. Yeah. No, but you have been wonderful, and I have to go because I'm in show business and I have so many exciting things to do now. Have a gold chain with a knot in it. I'm going to see if I can get that out. Have a drawstring. I'm trying to work through the waist of my sweatpants. Yeah. No, I like to sleep. Do you like to sleep? Is it? Oh, I'm so glad you do. Isn't it great? It's like the best of both worlds. You get to be alive and unconscious. Once I went to sleep, though, and I dreamt I had insomnia. The ultimate waste of time, you know? It's confusing, too. When I woke up, I thought, now I can get some sleep. Once I had insomnia, and I tried that thing where you're supposed to count the sheep jumping over the fence. You've heard that, yeah? I did about 4 when I realized that sheep can't jump. The whole system is a lie. And it wasn't relaxing to me anymore, because I started picturing what would really happen. The stupid sheep would just run into the fence and fall over. And I'd have to go up and pick the sheep up and throw it over the fence. And that made me tired, and I went to sleep. Oh, did you drink a whole bottle of wine? I don't drink because I just can't. I just go to sleep immediately. I had a drink in the afternoon. I went to sleep at 4 o'clock. I woke up at 6, and I thought it was morning. And I just stayed in bed and waited for it to get lighter. And it got darker. And I thought, this is it. This is the end of the world. What am I doing here in bed? I have to go shopping. Thank you very much. Good night.